2 months ago, I began an experiment. I committed to walking 20,000 steps every single day while at the same time allowing myself to eat as much food as I want, and well, the results are in. Just checked the scale this morning, and I've officially dropped 8 pounds of fat. I've become nearly shredded while both feeling more energized throughout the day and never once going hungry. Not bad. To start, let me quickly share a bit of history to put things into perspective. Last year, after going on a dedicated bulk where I gained a bunch of strength and fat, I cut down and got truly shredded for the first time ever in my life. I got all the way down to single-digit body fat at 145 pounds, briefly 144 actually, from a starting point of just about 175. 145 might sound kind of extreme. I'm a little under 5'8", but as I learned from YouTube lifter Alex Leonidas, most naturals seriously underestimate how much fat they have on their bodies. If you feel decently lean at 165, which I did, the 140s are not unrealistic if you actually want to get shredded. Anyway, it was a pretty brutal weight cut, all things considered, possibly the most challenging I've ever done. My activity level was super low. I was probably getting a couple thousand steps per day at most. I just brute forced my way through by eating what essentially amounted to a protein shake for breakfast and a can of beans and a tortilla for dinner every single day. Once I reached my bottom weight, I actually felt pretty good. I know a lot of guys struggle being super lean, but my energy level was high and my performance in the gym was peaked. It was all good, aside from one thing: pizza. It wasn't too bad to start, my willpower was strong, but after a while I started noticing this slow creep setting in. First it was watching videos of pizza being made every night before bed, then I decided a cheap pizza every week was okay, then it was twice a week, and then luckily I saw the pattern and made a change. While I was still maintaining my weight, even with the cheat meals, my weekly calories were still very low. I saw the potential for rebounding ahead of me, so I forced myself to start eating at appetite again, as much food as I wanted, with the only rule being clean foods only. Better, more clean food than a bunch of pizzas, I figured. Slowly, over a few months, I made my way back up to 157 pounds, still lean, though not shredded, and things stabilized. I was eating enough food I didn't crave it, I was lean enough to still have some visible striations and veins and whatnot, and I felt good overall, and that's where our experiment begins. I mention all of this so you know where I was at. Before the walking experiment, I was already very lean, which, in my opinion, makes 8 pounds lost a pretty big deal, because typically the lower you go, the harder weight loss becomes. This means for someone who isn't already lean, walking might be even more overpowered. What really stands out about the weight loss, though, above everything else, is that I didn't actually have to put any effort towards it at all, or at least it didn't feel like I did. No starving myself like the previous weight cut or jumping on an extreme exercise routine, aside from the workout routine I was doing already with sandbags and calisthenics. The only change I made was adding a walking pad treadmill to my work setup and walking at a slow and easy pace whenever I was at my computer, and that's it. Everything else in life was exactly the same, and I dropped a bunch of fat. Typically, weight loss is an uncomfortable experience, but this time around, it was effortless. Now let's cover the fine details. At the bare minimum, I walked at least 10 miles every single day at an average pace of 2 miles per hour with my walking pad set at a constant incline of 8%, which is the highest mine goes. Google told me that's roughly 20 to 28,000 steps, depending on stride length. For reference, 1% incline means 1 foot of vertical distance traveled for every 100 feet traveled horizontally, meaning for every 100 feet walked at an 8% incline, I'd accumulate 8 vertical feet climbed. 8 vertical feet per 100 feet walked would be something like 4,200 vertical feet in a day, assuming 10 miles, which is the equivalent of walking to the top of Mount Everest and then some once every week, assuming I could walk in a straight line, of course, which feels kind of cool to think about, though all things considered is really just a useless fact I wanted to add here because I like mountains. Long way of saying I've been walking a lot, and again, the craziest part of this whole thing is that by keeping that slow and steady pace and adding walking to something I was already doing, work at the computer, I was able to get all those steps without even really noticing. It was like the steps just appeared for free at the end of each day, like getting a call every night from a stranger letting me know he added $100 to my bank account just because. Pretty cool. We're not even close to done yet, though. To take this even further, and I know this might sound ridiculous, but I promise I am being completely sincere here, rather than feeling like extra work, walking is actually more like the complete opposite. Ever since I started this experiment, I'd felt this sort of unending clean energy flowing through me all day. Like, rather than wearing me down, the walking is charging me up, fueling me. I've come to look at the treadmill as being like one of those wireless phone chargers, only for my body. Every second spent on that thing fills the battery. Somehow the walking managed to put me into a pretty good calorie deficit, burning up those fat reserves, while at the same time giving me the feeling of being in a calorie surplus. Feels like that shouldn't be possible, but I suppose it makes a lot of sense if you look back. For most of human history, we likely moved a lot, walking long distances while hunting, gathering, and whatnot. We humans seem to be built for covering long distances on foot. Perhaps spending hours every day walking taps into the kind of lifestyle our bodies are built for, which leads to that abundance of energy. Just something to think about. Now let's talk about food and calories. Rather than forcing myself through intense calorie restriction, during the last 2 months I actually increased my calorie intake a substantial amount. As far as meals go, I've been eating the exact same stuff I was when maintaining 157 pounds body weight. I tend to just eat the same meals every day for convenience. The only difference has been because I'm still allowing myself to eat at appetite, knowing if I try to go under, I'll just end up eating a bunch of pizzas. I've also been making frequent midnight trips to the kitchen for that extra half tub of cottage cheese or can of sardines and whatever else I can find. Let me quickly do the math on the last 2 months because it really puts things into perspective. As I said, I've been walking at an average of 2 miles per hour at a constant 8% incline, covering at least 10 miles every single day. Using the ACSM walking equation alongside METs, accounting for speed and incline, and using a body weight of 153, which is halfway between my starting and end weights, 10 miles per day would be roughly 1,700 calories burned, and something like 1,300 per day-ish when accounting for the calories I'd be burning anyway just from being alive, even if I was just sitting around. Being super conservative, let's just say all the walking accounted for 1,000 extra calories burned per day. 1,000 per day is 7,000 per week, and as there are 3,500 calories in a pound of body weight, if I just kept on eating at maintenance calories, 7,000 burned would equal 2 pounds of body weight lost per week. Now, 8 pounds of weight lost in 2 months, the results I saw, is the equivalent of dropping 1 pound per week, not 2, which means not only did easy, slow, and steady walking during my work time put me down near single-digit body fat levels without me even feeling like I had to try, it got me there, while at the same time allowing me to eat the equivalent of 3,500 extra calories per week, or 500 extra calories per day, which is close to the equivalent of adding a full Big Mac to my food intake every single day while losing weight. We're not done yet though. As I said before, walking, moving my body more throughout the day, it's made me feel like I'd want to move my body even more throughout the day. Since I started this thing, I found myself randomly playing with my dogs more, crawling around and wrestling them. I felt more driven in my workouts and I've been hitting all kinds of records. And as I've become leaner, everything continues to compound. Being lean means improved breathing and cardio and general sense of well-being, for me at least, which leads to even more movement. All things considered, it's likely the walking is doing much more than burning an extra 1,000 calories per day, which means I've probably been eating a lot more food than when I was maintaining my weight at 157. And still, we can go deeper. There's more going on here than simple calories in versus calories out. For me, 2 miles per hour at an 8% incline falls directly into the Zone 2 cardio range. In that range, a larger portion of energy burned comes from stored fat rather than from glycogen reserves. Not necessarily a huge deal if you're only walking a little bit, but when going for many hours, things start to add up. It's estimated when in that Zone 2 range, during the first 10 minutes, the body preferentially uses stored glycogen rather than fat, but after that, things begin ramping up. From roughly 10 to 30 minutes, there's a slow build until a peak is reached, at which point the body might begin using stored fat for somewhere in the realm of 70% of its energy source, and from that point onwards, the fat burning just continues. Basically, low-intensity walks lasting longer than a half hour have the potential to burn a lot of fat. On top of that, because the intensity is so low, the body has no reason to break down muscle tissue for fuel, meaning Zone 2 walking is basically a cheat code for getting leaner while holding on to muscle. That's exactly what happened to me. I've continued getting stronger lifting heavy sandbags during this whole thing, and I don't believe I've lost any muscle at all during the last 2 months. Why don't more people talk about the power of Zone 2 then? Well, I think they actually do, but mainly I'd say because it just takes a long time. 10 miles at 2 miles per hour is 5 hours of walking, and that's just the bare minimum. Nobody has time for that. I get it. Adding 5 hours of anything to an already busy schedule will likely be impossible. If, however, you add walking to something you're already doing, like working at the computer or during leisure time when you're on your phone or whatever, there's probably a lot more of that than you realize. The idea becomes much more realistic. That's why I recommend the treadmill rather than telling you to go outside. Of course, that would be best, but let's be honest, it's not happening. Everything together, 2 solid months of walking a bunch, and I'm officially down 8 pounds, and I look, feel, and perform better than I ever have. The experiment improved every aspect of my life, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. If you're looking to drop some fat, rather than going all in on the latest crash diet, preparing yourself for regular extended fasting, or doing anything at all actually challenging, maybe consider just taking the super lazy way through. Eat relatively clean, walk a bunch, and watch the fat melt away. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more on walking, check out this one here. It goes much deeper into the benefits you get, everything from creativity to productivity, health, and feeling excited about existing in the world. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.